Alright, so second episode of our wonderful podcast.
Bookish with Mix and Bella.
Bookish with Mix and Bella, yay! The podcast where we share the thoughts nobody asked for.
That's exactly true. I couldn't have summed it up better myself.
That's exactly what it is. How's your week been?
It's been a long one. I've been sick, so this podcast has been a long time coming. A little bit longer than we expected. How about you? What have you been up to this week?
Working. Lots and lots of work.
Boo, boring.
I know, so boring.
We should be reading books.
I've been trying to, but...
I mean, you're already a whole book ahead. Calm your farm.
I haven't finished it yet. You said I could.
I haven't started it, so I've got this one fresh in my mind. Don't spoil the rest for us, please.
No, I won't say anything. I like it. It has a clear ending, whereas the first book, kind of, it was easy to kind of get them mixed up. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Whereas this one has such a clear ending.
And I think the first one, we just wanted that to be over real soon.
Yes. Very much
that
so.
Was terrible. And we shit on it pretty hard, I feel like. But this one was it's a lot.
It's a lot. And
it's a lot. And I saw it in the shop. Sorry to talk over you. I saw it in the shop and it's so thick.
It is. I feel like it was a quick read. Like, obviously the first one was really quick and easy to read. But I read the second one in like a day and a half.
But the first one was ginormous as well. Remember, I think we saw it in the shop, I feel like.
Potentially, yeah.
And it was quite a thick book.
Maybe the words were just very large.
Yeah.
Make it look like it has substance.
I feel that the first book must have had a lot of filler in it, because the second book, a lot happened.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it didn't feel... It actually didn't feel like it took long to read, but it felt like a lot happened.
Yes, yeah.
So before we get into our thoughts, how about I give you a quick synopsis and plot rundown?
Synopsis, yes, please.
Yes, let's read the synopsis, and then you guys can skip the plot if you want, because it will be a bit long.
Can you say synopsis again?
No.
Anyway, continue.
Synopsis. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Don't correct me if I'm wrong, because that's how it is said. If anyone says it differently, they're wrong. So, here's the synopsis. Pharah survived Amarantha's clutches to return to the Spring Court, but at a steep cost. Though she now has the powers of the High Fae, her heart remains human, and it can't forget the terrible deeds she performed to save Tamlin's people. Nor has Pharah forgotten her bargain with Rhysand, High Lord of the feared Night Court. As Pharah navigates its dark web of politics, passion, and dazzling power, a greater evil looms, and she might be the key to stopping it, but only if she can harness her harrowing gifts, heal her fractured soul, and decide how she wishes to shape her future, and the future of a world cleaved in two. Pharah has undergone more trials than one human woman can carry in her heart. Though she's now been granted the powers and lifespan of the High Fae, she is haunted by her time under the mountain, and the terrible deeds she performed to save the lives of Tamlin and his people. As her marriage to Tamlin approaches, Pharah's hollowness and nightmares consume her. She finds herself split into two different people, one who upholds her bargain with Rhysand, High Lord of the feared Night Court, and one who lives out her life in the Spring Court with Tamlin. While Pharah navigates a dark web of politics, passion, and dazzling power, a greater evil looms. She might just be the key to stopping it, but only if she can harness her harrowing gifts, heal her fractured soul, and decide how she wishes to shape her future and the future of a world in turmoil. Dun dun dun. Sounds so ominous.
Which, considering like what the book was, it wasn't really that.
A lot. I feel a lot happened.
It was a lot.
We'll add the plot in here. Feel free to skip however long. We'll put it in the next chapter. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Months have passed since Pharah saved the Fae Kingdom of Prythian from the vicious Queen Amarantha. Pharah now lives with the magic gifts the High Lord of all seven Fae Courts gave her. immortality is one of them. She is still bonded to Rhys, High Lord of the Night Court, and obligated to spend 1 week of every month with him. So far, he has not come to collect on the debt. Pharah is now engaged to Tamlin and lives with him in his estate in the Spring Court. Instead of being happy, Pharah suffers from depression and harrowing nightmares of the innocent fairies she killed during the trials. Her relationship with Tamlin is strained as he has his own nightmares, but refuses to open up to Pharah, choosing instead to keep her secluded in the manor under heavy guard. Pharah wants her freedom and to learn to fight, but Tamlin refuses and tasks her with preparing for their wedding and becoming a proper hostess for visitors to the Spring Court. On their wedding day, Pharah feels overwhelmed and wants to escape, knowing that she isn't ready for marriage. During the ceremony, she has a panic attack. Rhys hears her through their bond, appears and takes her away to the Night Court for a week. Rhys gives Pharah space and freedom. He introduces her to his cousin Morrigan, a high fae woman, and the two become friends. During her time there, he teaches her to read and tells her that when the High Lords give her a bit of their magic to save her life, she also received their power and abilities. He tells her she is stronger than she knows and should be able to use her abilities. When Pharah goes back to Tamlin's manor, she is overjoyed to see him. Instead of wanting to be intimate with her, however, Tamlin grills her on everything she saw and heard in Rhys's court. Pharah feels like a spy, but since Tamlin and Rhys are enemies, she does what Tamlin wants. Pharah asks him about her new abilities. Tamlin admits that he knew she had them, but they are too dangerous for her to train. He only wants to keep her safe and protected from those who will want her power for themselves. As the weeks pass, Tamlin becomes more controlling, and Pharah becomes even more despondent. One day, as Tamlin is leaving to assess a new threat in his lands, Pharah insists on going with him. Tamlin casts a shield around the manor, imprisoning Pharah inside. She has flashbacks of being trapped under the mountain by Amarantha and passes out. Rhys rescues her and takes her to his secret city of Valaris. Rhys keeps 2 courts, the public hewn city, a place of wickedness and debauchery, and Valaris, a secret, peaceful seaside city of beauty, art and culture. Valaris has been hidden with spells for hundreds of years, and that is where Rhys and his friends call home. Pharah stays at Rhys's town home in Valaris, where she slowly recovers from her depression and heartbreak, vowing never to go back to Tamlin and be imprisoned again. She sends Tamlin a letter telling him that she wanted to leave. She's fine and she won't be coming back. Rhys is suspicious that the king of the neighbouring Fae kingdom of Highburn is preparing to attack Prythian. The king has been unhappy with the treaty to end human enslavement and wishes to break down the wall between Prythian and the mortal world. Rhys asks Pharah to work with his inner circle, Morrigan, Amren, Azriel and Cassian, to find out what the king is planning. While Azriel and Cassian teach Pharah how to fight, Rhys teaches her how to use her new powers. To get more information, Pharah and Rhys visit an ancient creature called the Bone Carver. The creature tells them that the king is reassembling the cauldron, a magical object of immense power from which their world was created. It was stolen and hidden, but the king now has it and plans to use it to raise a dead warrior, Durian, to shatter the wall to the human realm. The only thing that can stop the cauldron is the Book of Breathings, half of which is in Prythian at the Summer Court, and the other half is in the human realm with the 6 human queens. Rhys and Pharah travel to the Summer Court under the guise of diplomacy and steal that portion of the book, but the half in the human realm can't be stolen. It must be given freely. They arrange a meeting with the human queens at Pharah's family home in the human realm. Negotiations with the queens go poorly. They refuse to turn over their half of the book as they have heard about Rhys's wickedness and don't trust him. They require proof that he will use the book for good and not evil. Pharah's group returns to Prythian and steal a device, the Veritas, which allows the viewer to see only the truth. Rhys plans to use the Veritas to show the queens Valaris so they can see that he is good, capable of maintaining peace and worthy of their trust. His public image is a role he plays and not who he really is. In the months since she left Tamlin, Pharah finds that she is getting over her heartbreak and falling in love with Rhys. While they wait for the queens to meet with them again, Pharah continues her training with Rhys. While training in the woods, they are ambushed by Lucien, Tamlin's emissary, who tries to forcibly take her back to the Spring Court. Pharah uses her considerable power and makes it clear that she will never return. A few weeks later, the King of Highburn attacks them and Rhys is badly wounded and taken captive. Pharah finds him, but she does not know how to heal him. She leaves Rhys in a cave and goes into the woods to set a trap for a Suriel, a fairy who is compelled to tell the truth when captured. The Suriel tells Pharah that Rhys is her mate and to give him her blood to drink as it has healing properties. Pharah is shocked, but the Suriel confirms that Rhys has known Pharah is his mate, his perfect match and one who he is destined to be bonded with for life. Pharah is furious that Rhys held the truth from her, and after she heals him and takes him to safety, she leaves for a remote cabin. Eventually, Rhys finds her and tells her that he felt she was his mate when Amarantha killed her, but it was confirmed when he saw her in Fae form for the first time. Pharah forgives him and accepts the mating bond. They have sex and their bond is sealed. When they go back to the human realm with the Viratus, they hope the queens will give them the book as time is running out to stop the king. Morrigan shows them the secret and thriving city of Valaris. While the queens are astonished, they still refuse to give their half of the book. Pharah and Morrigan are angry, but when the women leave, Rhys sees that one of the queens secretly left the book for them, with a note telling them not to trust the other queens. The group returns to Valaris. Flying creatures from Highburn attack the city. Pharah and the others defend the city, but not before considerable damage is done and lives are lost, including the life of the queen who gave them the book. One of the soldiers drops her from the sky and she dies at impact. They decide to destroy the cauldron. Amren deciphers a spell to break the object, warning Pharah that she must not put the two halves of the book together. The joining will create power that will attract unwanted attention. Pharah and others sneak into the Highburn castle and they find the cauldron. Before Pharah can utter the spell, the book compels her to join it. The magic created alerts Durian, the king's newly resurrected warrior. Rhys takes the book from Pharah before the king spells the castle so no one can leave. The king joins Durian, the human queens who betrayed Rhys, and Tamlin and Lucien. Tamlin has made a bargain with the king. If he helps to get Pharah back, he will grant Highburn safe passage into Prythian through the Spring Court. Pharah refuses to go with Tamlin, but the king has caught her sisters and uses them to show the human queens that it's safe to be remade by the cauldron. As Pharah begs for their release, her sisters are submerged into the cauldron and come out as High Fae. Lucien looks at the newly made Fae Elaine and realizes that she is his mate. Pharah knows she has no choice, as she must save her sisters and her friends. She pretends that Rhys has always had her under his control. She asks Tamlin to take her home to the Spring Court and begs the king to break the mating bond. The king obliges, unaware that he only breaks the bond to spend 1 week a month in the Night Court. The mating bond cannot be severed by magic. Pharah telepathically asks Rhys to teleport himself and her sisters out of Highburn. Lucien is furious to lose Elaine, but he, Tamlin and Pharah return to the Spring Court. Tamlin apologizes for his past behaviour, telling Pharah that things will be different between them. Rhys returns to Valaris and tells the others that the night before they went to Highburn, he and Pharah went to a priestess and she was sworn in as High Lady of the Night Court. Pharah is not his wife or consort, but his equal in every way. She is now their spy. Tamlin has unknowingly led the High Lady of the Night Court into the heart of his territory.
Alrighty. Did you write down any thoughts this time? Or are we just going off my wonderful thoughts?
I thought about writing down thoughts.
Okay, cool. Perfect. I have a question.
I did have a lot of thoughts. Is it starting from the beginning?
So this is the first thought I had, and I've done a bit of research into it as well. Ooh. So would you say that this kind of fairy human world, just the way it's kind of described, like how the human part's described and stuff like that, would you say it's kind of set in like the Middle Ages?
Yeah. It'd have to be.
Yeah, is that like the feel
I think
you get
I just
from it?
assume.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay. So she says the word toilet. Not like
okay.
Not chamber pot. She says toilet.
Okay, well, maybe they're a bit further ahead with their plumbing than what we would have thought those in medieval times.
So the medievals, the Middle Ages, which is the medieval times, that was kind of like from like 400 to about 1500, whatever. What? AD? After death?
AD?
Is that how it works?
I don't know. Something to do with the Bible?
Yeah, who cares? We'll read that one day. It's fine.
Oh no. No. That's a whole other tangent.
So the word toilet kind of came around from like some French word that meant like dressing room or something like that. That kind of wasn't a thing until the 16th century, which is technically like the 1500s. But yeah, I just want to call that out. That stuck out to me, and I obviously spent some time looking into it.
The fact that the humans had a toilet.
Yeah,
they also have iPhones.
That's like that she's saying toilet, whereas the way the world's kind of set up, it implies that it's kind of like a middle agey kind of thing. So you think it would be like a chamber pot.
Yes. What kind of a world then would it be if there was a toilet? Would they also have electricity?
Exactly.
Would they? Like, I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know, because I didn't research when like the current kind of, flushing toilet came into place. But I don't know.
I mean, if we're calling a toilet, what does that world look like? Are they still in castles?
Like, I wouldn't think so, would you? Like, can you imagine a castle with a flushing toilet?
No. But is a flushing toilet when they started calling them toilets?
No. So, no, because it was around late 16th century.
That means nothing to me. So is it still like a hole in the ground at this point, but we're calling it a toilet?
Potentially, yes. It's just an odd thing that I just want to bring up. They just didn't. Just sounded weird. Like it's just an odd word in the whole context.
Very modern word in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Getcha. Didn't stand out to me, but I understand your point.
Well, I'm a strange one.
Fixated on toilets and toilet type things.
Okay. So my thoughts aren't really that deep. They aren't really, but we'll just go through them and then we can talk about the other important things of the book.
Yeah.
Why is there so much hissing? What's with the hissing?
Oh yeah.
Do you notice that?
Yes. And she makes a lot of animalistic sounds, right?
Yeah.
Or they do.
Yeah, like while they're doing it, they're like hissing at each other.
Interesting.
It's fucking weird.
It's funny how they make out the fairies or the fae to be more animalistic than humans, yet they're better than us. They're the superior breed and the superior species, yet they're more like animals than what we would be if we were in that scenario.
Yeah. The hissing's very strange.
It's interesting how she describes some things.
Which another note of mine, is further down, but it's the same thing. Like the amount of times in that book I read the word vomit or vomiting.
Yes.
Drove me insane.
Yes.
Like use a different term for it. Like sure, use it once or twice, but like fucking 10 times in the one book. If not more.
Find another way to describe it. That really puts a damper on it. And she's so good at describing other things.
Yeah.
Like, and the way that people are like murdered or whatever.
Yeah.
She gets very descriptive with that, but when it comes to vomiting, nope.
I vomited. I thought I was going to vomit.
Just gonna have a vom over here in the corner.
Like, what's the thing that's it's like the dictionary, but it's like gives you other meanings for the same word. Other words for this.
Like the slang dictionary.
Was it a thesaurus?
Oh, yeah. Talking about synonyms. I feel like we're having like a whole English lesson in this podcast.
Look, it's been a while since I've been at school.
What are the synonyms for vomit?
Well, puking, throwing up,
upchuck, puke.
I guess like retching. I don't know. Words?
Oh yes. Retching.
Yeah.
Fetch up. Chunder. Hurl.
Yeah, chunder.
Gag.
Yes. There's a lot of other words.
Ejector. Technically yawn. Purge. Liquid laugh.
Purge. Purge is a good one. I purged myself.
Left some
There's-
pavement pizza on the ground after thinking about that.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, pizza for dinner. No.
Oh, gross.
But you know what I
Careful you
mean?
don't
Like,
get that liquid laugh.
it was just very odd.
Yeah.
Just
No, you're right.
to the point where I had to make a note on it.
Fair enough. I think I ended up skimming over those parts after the first time. So I'm like, okay, we get it. She feels sick. Makes her feel sick. I feel like the characters weren't so bland. I mean, let's finish your thoughts and then maybe we can get into the media stuff.
Okay.
Talk about the characters.
Well, actually, so I kind of compared Reese and like his little bunch of people to Robin Hood and a bunch of merry men.
His squad! I want to be in his squad.
I find them so much more interesting than than for one, the previous book. But then even like the kind of romance part of it, like I want to know more about them.
Yeah.
Than I do about anything else.
They have so much more depth.
Yeah.
And what do you think Amryn looks like?
I don't know.
She was described interestingly.
I don't remember her description.
To be like a fire drake or something? She was described as a fire drake because she liked to hoard treasure. But she was more alienistic or something. Hold on, let me find a description of Amryn.
See, I picture her. So going to another book. There's a book series that I've read before and it's like about Greek gods and stuff, and it's the same, like they just, they find someone, they fall in love, blah blah blah. But one of them has like a little demon daughter that they kind of adopted or whatever.
Oh.
And she's kind of
that's what you picture her as?
The way she's described is like kind of like a teenage kind of skinny goth with like red eyes and horns and stuff like that. I just started picturing it like that.
I thought she was a little dragon that could speak for a little bit.
But then isn't like the summer court dude, isn't she like...
I don't know. I really could not wrap my head around.
Are we getting into dragon sex now?
Oh, look, who knows? She's an alien though, right? Because there's a multiverse.
But she's from, like, she's other. She's from another dimension or something.
She's an alien from the multiverse.
Possibly.
She is.
Well, yeah, she's classified as, I guess, aliens. The right term for it.
She's an alien. She has silver eyes. And she's short. And drinks blood. She's an alien vampire dragon. Damn it, we should save that for the characters.
So I found like the political stuff more interesting as well. Just kind of learning more.
I think I do in general too.
Yeah. It's interesting to find more about like the other courts and stuff like that.
And the world building in this exploded.
Yes, which is what it was missing last time.
Yes. And I feel like the new court, what was it? The City of Starlight?
Yes.
That I had a very vivid image of every time they went back to it. I could really see how and where everything was as like when they were there.
Yeah, same.
I really enjoyed that. And I hope that continues on in the next book.
So finding out about like the cauldron and all of that and what that's like, how the world is made from it and things like that, kind of explains to me why everyone's like, oh, my cauldron, instead of, like, oh my god.
Yes, that got a bit annoying.
I feel like that's again like something, because it's in first person that doesn't have like the kind of world building at the start. So it wasn't explained too much later. So you go through a whole book and everyone's saying like, oh, my cauldron. You're like, what the fuck are they talking about? So Nesta and Cass, that's totally happening.
Oh, yes. Oh, isn't that what the whole last book's about?
I think so, yeah.
Or the new book? The new trilogy? Maybe we won't read that until all three are out.
No, so it's the fourth book in this series that's about her and Nesta and the dude.
Oh, well, that's annoying.
Oh, sorry. I kind of like the connection between like Maul and like the Irish legend Morrigan, because she's like the Irish goddess of war.
Yes.
That was cool.
That
I
was
found
cool.
that. Yes.
I made that connection as well. And I also found on the fandom trivia page, she was inspired by, let's see, multiple fairy tales and myths, including Hades and Persephone.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, can definitely see that. The Greek myth inspired large parts of the novel in that Rhysand, meant to represent Hades, takes Pharah, Persephone, against her will to a place that is considered dark and evil and eventually convinces her to stay.
And that's kind of how I picture Reese as well.
Yeah. Also, Hansel and Gretel. This fairy tale inspired the character of the Weaver.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Book of Exodus. This book loosely inspired parts of Miriam and Draken's backstory.
I think I made a note of that because when was that?
Who is Miriam and Dracon? Are they characters from Hogwarts?
That might be.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You've just given yourself something from the third book, so we won't talk about that.
Oh, but it's on the second book. I'm on the second book. Stupid fandom. Can't even get their facts straight.
I did write something about it, but I can't see it here, so I would say it is about the third book.
Okay, whatever. We'll ignore it.
Moving on.
A new female character named Wren was going to be introduced in this book.
Oh.
However, Sarah J. Maas found the name too similar to Wren Allsbrook from the Throne of Glass series. Thus, changed the name to avoid naming two characters similarly.
Okay.
It doesn't say which character that was. I'm assuming more, maybe.
Or no. Amren.
That's more, yeah.
Just put 2 letters in front of it.
Yeah, A-M. Amren.
So I feel like the timeline of this book as well, I don't know whether it was just the way it was written because there was so much information.
Yes.
They mention at one point that it's only been 2 months since she left.
2 months?
Yeah.
I made a mental note of this. And it was like way towards the end of the book where they're like, it's only been 2 months since I've seen Devlin. And I'm like, fucking what?
Because there was like bits, like a chapter where they were saying, you know, they waited for weeks or something for whatever to happen or to go see something.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh yeah, it's just been 2 months. Just 2 months, whatever.
But it does check out though, because I had to I remember reading this and I put the book down and I stopped and I was like, what? 2 months? And I had to think, well, that's 8 whole weeks.
Yeah.
These people don't have jobs, technically. I mean, he does. He goes off. He goes off and does his like political stuff.
Yeah.
She's not going back and forth to the Spring Court. And the Spring Court, between them getting back and then her leaving, was about 3 months.
Yeah.
So that was 3 months. And then there was a few months of her going there for 1 week of the month. There was at least 2 or 3 of those months. And then when she goes, like, I felt that was very quick, the whole Spring Court stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, which I'm kind of grateful for because...
Yeah, I didn't want to linger there very long.
Yeah, it's shit.
But when I Googled it, because I had to Google the timeline, it was a lot more drawn out than what I first thought.
Yeah.
So it made a bit more sense after I Googled it. But whoa, that came out of nowhere, that 2 months. I was like, I know. But all this stuff. What?
There's so much.
So much. And it was, I swear, in the last third of the book at least.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like they kind of ruined Lucian a bit with the whole...
Yes.
Like when he kind of came to grab her, which makes me sad because I like him.
In the forest?
Yeah, when they were doing the training.
So, like, I read that when I was reading that, I was like, he didn't want to take her, but he was doing it because he was ordered to and because it was his best friend and he wanted to save his best friend. And to do that, he had to get her. Like, I didn't see that as a bad guy move. It was a dick move.
Yeah, dick move.
But it wasn't him being controlled and an idiot. It was like, look, I'm more worried about my best friend. I'm taking you now.
Yeah.
But he wasn't listening to anything she wanted or had to say.
No, because they make a fair point of saying that she's looking thin and, you know,
yeah,
not well while she's at the Spring Court. So you'd think them being such good friends that
he would have noticed that, and that was her biggest thing. Yeah. That was really sad to see that.
Mm.
And then at the end there, when they they were all together after that fucking brain warp.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, my mind was blown. I did not see that coming.
No.
No. And I really, like, it's not often that things catch me by surprise, but that did, and I enjoyed that. I knew Lucian and Elaine or someone in that scenario was going to get a bond.
Yeah.
So that didn't surprise me so much. But just them being there in the first place, I was like, whoa, you guys, you're back.
What are you doing?
But it's interesting how she's written Tamlin. It's like we almost had to get through the first book.
Yes.
To understand where he's coming from. Because I still don't feel like he's a bad guy. I think he's just a bit pathetic.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Like lovesick to the point where it's toxic.
Mm.
And he's becoming abusive by like locking her away and keeping her away.
Yeah.
And it's all of his anxieties that he's putting onto her. And they're just not listening to each other. And it's becoming this whole toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And then one of them's going to sue the other one. And we're all going to get to watch it. It's going to be amazing.
They really needed somebody to come in for therapy. Yeah. Justice for Pharah.
Yes, justice for Pharah. I still don't like her name.
No. How did you feel about her reaction to the mating bond?
I think that was a bit overdone.
That was so stupid.
It really was. It was like, geez, woman, it's okay. Calm the fuck down. Don't lock yourself up in a cozy little cabin.
I know.
For 3 days.
The cabin sounded awesome.
Okay. So the way my brain works is like I love envisioning things, and that's how I read stories.
Yes.
Because I've realized that not everybody's brain works the same, so I have to explain these things. I like to picture things, and as I'm reading, the picture forms, right?
Yeah.
So we're at the top of a mountain, and there's a cabin. So and it's a small, modest little cabin that just the family goes to. Yeah. Right? It's a safe space. So I'm like, okay, cool. I've got a mountain and I've put a fishing cabin on top. Like not even one room. There's a bed, there's a kitchen. That's it. And then it's like, oh, here's so-and-so's room, and here's so-and-so's room, and here's a closet over here, and over here is a bathtub that you can walk into that fits wings. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're on a mansion on top of a mountain. That annoyed me.
I pictured it like, because like they mentioned that it was kind of like a magic cabin that gives you whatever you need. I pictured it like the TARDIS. So it's, you know, the small on the outside, but you walk in and it's like magically bigger on the inside.
That's cool.
That was my thinking.
Cool. My brain didn't get there. I don't like having to change my mental image once I've got it.
Yeah. That's Amren's always going to be like a little demon horn thing for me. So
yeah, and when I can't figure them out and it changes every time I read about them, that annoys me too.
That's frustrating.
Like, how do you pronounce that annoying priestess's name?
Ianthe?
See, you don't know because you have to say it 2 times. I don't know either. I have to say it 3 times in my brain when I'm reading, and it's annoying. I just ended up calling it Ian. Stop, Ian. It just bothers me.
It's so good.
Some of the names flow really well. Like I love Tamlin and Rhysand and Lucian and Morrigan and Cassian and Azriel. They're amazing.
Yes.
But when you get stuck on a name, it just ruins whatever flow you're in that part of the book.
Agreed.
And in this book, there was 69 chapters.
69.
So what are we up to?
Well, I have one last thought, which is actually like something I really liked. How at the end of the book, it went to Rhys's point of view.
I did like that. Here's a fun fact for you that I found in my trivia hunting. The whole book was written like alternating perspectives originally.
I would have loved that so much better.
I think I would have Oh, I would have, but she did a good job of getting into Reese's head through Pharah
Yes, yeah, that's true.
when we needed to. But it was very good to have that final chapter be his perspective, and it makes me wonder what the next book is like.
Yes, it does. Like, I wish it was something. I really wish, even like not like changing every single chapter between the two, but just like every now and then, just chuck somebody else in there. Like even his merry men, chuck one of those in there. Like an outside view of like the because they knew about the bond and she didn't. Like them looking from an outside of like what's happening in the relationship and stuff. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I just want more.
I hate that when you really finally get into a book and it's just, and then you come to the end and it's like, you just like, now what do I do?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like all my thoughts. There's some other things in here like fuck the spring court, fuck them all. Oh,
Okay, so we've left it now. She's back in the spring court.
I do have one question which I think wasn't explained, something that wasn't explained very well. So Reese left guards with her sisters. How did he not know they were kidnapped?
I think the guards were killed.
But the guards were meant to report back to him, like what I think it was once every 24 hours or something, to say whether they wanted to come to the city of whatever, Starlight.
I think it was once a week. No, it wasn't.
I
It
thought
was
they
like
were
maybe it was like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I thought it was like every day at noon they were going to stand there.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
How did they not know?
Maybe it happened so fast because
That's
they
it.
can winnow. The queens can winnow.
I fucking hate that word.
Me too. Winnow.
Winnow.
I love how it's described. How it's
Yeah.
like folding through time.
Yeah, that's cool.
But calling it winnowing? Boo.
Because it
can
to
do
me in my
better.
head it's like they kind of fold up like paper, like origami.
Oh, really?
And just kind of, like fold up until they're nothing and then move it, I don't know.
I see it like, I feel like I watched A Wrinkle in Time recently and that helped with my visual for this. But it's more like Smoke, how it twists and turns.
Yeah, yeah.
So, she goes behind it and then she's gone and then behind the next one, completely gone.
Yeah.
Or into the next, whatever, fold in time. No, it's not time, it's space.
Space.
This installment of the series went through multiple name changes. A Court of Wind and Stone was the working title of the book. However, Bloomsbury UK informed Sarah that wind has a different meaning across the Atlantic, so it was quickly changed to A Court of Mist and Stone. Oh, like farts. Oh dear.
I would have never thought of it like that until you actually said it, though.
I wouldn't have thought of farting in stones.
No.
Mist and Stone. Wait, it's not even called Mist and Stone.
Mist and Fury.
I get the fury part. I wish she'd gone with the wind.
Mist and Fury. Wind and Fury. Yeah, Wind and Fury kind of
hang
sounds
on.
good.
Then during her Queen of Shadows tour, her editor suggested A Court of Calm and Fury. Maas liked the word fury and thought about including it in the title. Maas brainstormed a number of titles in her notebook. Among them included A Court of Stars and Smoke, A Court of Wings and Stars, A Court of Venom and Silver, and A Court of Stars and Frost. She later finally chose A Court of Mist and Fury, as we know. Interesting.
I feel like the title, the way the title's set out is very popular with books these days.
I wonder if she started that. There's a lot of A Court of, or like that kind of structure,
yeah, like
title structure.
A something of something and something.
Yep.
But it kind of also comes from like the girl with the dragon tattoo. It's that kind of.
Oh, true.
It's like the something with the something something.
It's definitely interesting lyrically how they've done
it.
Well, I'm glad we're buying into the hype. Is it worth the hype though? I don't know. You ready for some reviews?
Let me have the reviews, and then I have a great one.
Well, before we get to reviews, the sex scenes, there were a lot. It's a bit spicy, this book. More so than the first one.
Can I read it?
Yes, you read that while I find this.
So Emily May rated it 2 stars on Goodreads, and like she goes, it's a massive review. But my favorite part is, it says, "I've said this before, but I really dislike Maas' sex scenes. At her best, she writes them strangely with words like branding and claiming, but here they were just plain icky." With talk of mates and growling and purring. She forgot the hissing.
Oh, yes.
I felt like I'd walked in on 2 animals rotting in the mud.
Oh, dear.
That's it. I just found that funny.
So I'm going through, this isn't reviews, it's questions.
Mm-hmm.
On Goodreads again. Natasha Hodge says, "Can I spoil? I'm going to spoil." And she goes on to say, "There is no love triangle or pregnancy. There is feminism, Tamlin the Tool, and a mating bond."
Tamlin the Tool.
Tamlin the Tool. And I love that there was no love triangle. I'm so sick of love triangles. And there was no pregnancy. And Recent is like a super feminist.
Yes.
Well done, buddy. That was very refreshing. There's something we didn't see a lot in like our YA novels from our era.
No, everything was a love triangle. That was like the big thing.
Oh, and everyone had to rescue the poor female who's never good enough. And, oh, finally she's good enough. Now everyone loves her. And oh, too many choices.
Suddenly she's depressed again and loves somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. And all she needed to do was just love herself.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But that was actually my notes. Like, is it going to turn into a love triangle? Which it kind of like.
I hope not.
While they were still in the spring court going back and forth, it kind of felt like it. But then once she was with Reese like full time.
Oh, like in the first book. Yes. That's why I think it's another reason it was so hard to get through.
No, the start of the second book when she's going back and forth. Like they kind of, it felt like it was being set up for a love triangle.
Yeah, I just lumped that in with the first book. The second book starts when we get to the night court.
Okay.
And we get to Valeris. Isn't that what the city's called? I love that city.
Valeris, yeah. I know, it sounds so good. I picture it in like a snow globe.
Oh.
Like when they were talking about it being protected, like I just picture it in a little snow globe.
I see that now. I want Valeris to be my mind palace.
The library, actually, no, never mind.
Stop it. No spoilers. I'm kicking you out. I'll finish this by myself.
It shows the difference between Reese and Tamlin is that Reese actually like put in effort to teach her to read.
Yes. Whether she wanted to or not. Yeah, but he also like lets her be her own person.
Yeah.
Respects her choices and listens to her feelings. And, treats her like a human fae. I loved at the end how she ended up being a high lord. Lady. High lady.
High lady.
That was cool. And I bet Lucian knows.
Yes.
I feel like he knows. And I'm excited to see how that plays out in the next book. So, that ending. Oh my gosh. It was crazy.
That ending was so good.
When she was breaking the things apart and she brought the wards down at the very end and no one did anything, I was like, fuck, guys, come on. You can go now.
Everyone out.
And she's like silently willing them to go, but no one gets it.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating. Like I was feeling my frustration with her. And then Moore got it before anyone else did.
Yeah. Because, like, Cass and Azrael were, like, fucking dying or whatever.
Yeah. And then they were gone. And through the whole thing, I was worried that, oh no, now she's done this. And Reese is going to think that she wanted to go back. But how could he think that? Like, how could he think that?
I know.
After everything they've been through, how could he not see what she's doing? But then, like, oh no, the bond is broken, so they can't even talk to each other anymore. And he's gonna turn into like Tamlin did, and he's gonna be like a uber explosive, toxic relationship making person. And we're going to be way back in the first book, even more so, because I think I still was traumatized by how bad the first book was.
Yes, yeah.
Didn't quite believe that the second book was as good as it was.
We're gonna
So I'm
need
like,
to
oh,
edit
here
that
it
one.
is. Here's the ending. She's fucked it up. But then they still had the bond, and it was planned the fucking night before.
It was so good.
It just, everything to the very end of the book made complete sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you knew that Lucian didn't believe anything, and he knows that something's going on. He's very suspicious.
That's why he had the fox marks.
Yes, but now he has the mating bond with Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to work in her favor.
He can't do shit.
Yeah. He's screwed. So my only hope now is that Tamlin will come to his senses and end up helping them out somehow. And just realize what a fucking tool he's been.
I think Tamlin's just tool Tamlin. Tamlin's a tool. Yeah.
Yeah. I see him as a frat boy.
Yeah, yeah. And then
like he just cannot believe that someone doesn't love him.
I know.
It's like, but it's me. I don't understand. I'm right here. Why are you going with the emo guy?
Oh, look at my
right
face. It's
here.
so pretty.
I have, look at all the tanning and the blonde hair. Ay.
What's your overall rating for the book?
I'm going to give it a 4 because I'm still very hesitant and tentative, and I'm worried that she's going to break my heart. Actually, no, I'm giving this book a 5.
Yeah.
If she breaks my heart in book 3, it's going down to 1.
That ending, just the way it was kind of built up, and just like the last chapter, it deserves a 5.
It was so good. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying it was so good.
I know, especially because the first one was just trash.
It was so bad and bland.
And it just like you kind of had to get through that blandness to.
Kudos to the people that did. It was. I wonder if it was planned like that though. I really wonder if it was planned like that. It was just enough to get you hooked enough to be like, oh, try one more book. And then kablamo.
Bam.
Yeah. But now we get to the point in my personal reading style where there's only one book left. And I don't want to read it because I don't want it to be over.
Well, you need to read it so then we can talk about it.
But then it's over.
Well, then we have the novella that's like between.
The novella will take us like an hour to read.
Yeah, true. And then there is the fourth one, which is still continuing on.
Not gonna be amazing.
You never know. It could be.
I will, if it's written as a continuation of the trilogy, as in after whatever happens in the trilogy, and we get some more closure from the trilogy, then it will be amazing. But if it's written to be pieced into what's written in the trilogy, you know how they do that?
Yeah, it's kind of like
that will annoy me.
Yeah,
it's like while so and so was off being depressed over here,
vomiting in the corner.
Yeah. This is how so and so felt, and it's like we've already been there. We already know what happens.
It kind of depends though, because we know it's about Nestor, and there's a lot of, especially while Pharah was at the spring court, we don't know what kind of happened with Nestor in those months.
True, but I also don't really care.
Yeah, true. And her name's Nestor, and I hate it. So
it's a terrible name. It suits her though.
It does, yeah.
She seems like I can understand the kind of person that she is.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't in the first book, but now I can see what kind of person she is. Do we have anything else to talk about? This one's such a mess. I'm excited for the next one, and now we have a bit of a plan.
All right, so next episode we will be reading Court of Wings and Ruin. So feel free to send us your thoughts via email or Twitter. Links will be in the show notes. We may include them in the next episode's discussion. Anyway, happy reading, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.